Welcome to the 21st episode of the Nordic Sports News Podcast, the world's first daily cross-country ski and biathlon podcast with the latest news from around the globe. Today, we start with biathlon and a difficult weekend for Tiril Eckhoff and Marte Røiseland in Sjusjøen. Tiril and Marte were in difficulty during the Sunday mass start. Norway is therefore worried about its two stars, 12 days before the start of the World Cup. This weekend, during the Norwegian opening races in Sjusjøen, Marte Røiseland and Tiril Eckhoff were not imperial. If they finished respectively second and third in the sprint behind Julia Simon, the Sunday mass start was not a success. Røiseland finished 9th and Eckhoff 13th, more than a minute from Ingrid Landmark Tondrevold, brilliant winner with clean shooting. Even though it didn't go the way I wanted it to, I'm not worried. This is not the first time that I have had such results at the opening because it is always difficult to resume competition. And then, on Saturday, I finished second in the sprint with a very good time on the track, recalls Marte Røiseland to VG. Tiril Eckhoff is, for her part, worried about her physical form. I hope that I could correct this during the 2 weeks separating us from the start of the World Cup, she explains, admitting that she has not arrived in full capacity for the races in Sjusjøen. This should serve as a wake-up call, said Marte Røiseland. In 2 weeks, you will see a different Marte and a Tiril, promises Patrick Oberegger, their Italian shooting coach. Still on the biathlon topic, we have a question. Who will be the sixth Norwegian man in Östersund? Erlend Joenagard, Sivert Guttormbakken, Havard Gutubo Bogveit or André Stroemsheim are in the process of being selected for the Norwegian national team for the Biathlon World Cup opening. For the start of the World Cup, which will open in Östersund, Sweden, in now 12 days, Tarjei Bo, Sturla Holm Legried, Johannes Dahl, Vidal Sjostad Christensen and Johannes Thingsbo are already guaranteed to be there for Norway. Regarding the sixth place, however, the suspense remains. Despite being a member of the elite national team, Erlend Joenagard, 31, is poised with the hungry young wolves of the development team. Among them is Sivert Guttormbakken, 23 and winner of the sprint races in Sjusjøen, Norway, this Saturday. Erlend and Sivert are the best placed to take this last place, confirms Per Arne Botnan, the national team manager, at the microphone of the NRK in remarks taken up by VG. Havard Gutubo Bogveit, second in Sjusjøen sprint, and André Stroemsheim, also performing last weekend, could also enter the race for the famous sixth place. Philippe Fjeld Andersen, winner of the Ebu Cup overall last season, will be invited for the opening of the winter and could then join the battle. Now, let's check some news about cross-country ski, more precisely, long-distance skiing. Mathias Fredriksson, SVT's expert, bring us some news ahead of the long-distance skiing season. The expert starts, this winter's ski classics will be exciting. Lina Korsgren will be challenged by a revenge-hungry Britta Johansson Norgren, and a ski legend in the form of Marte Bjørgen. Bjørgen has got a bleeding tooth, so the duel with Korsgren will be very exciting, says SVT's expert Mathias Fredriksson. Lina Korsgren was dominant in the tracks of the long-distance races last year. The Swede won 6 of 8 races. Incredibly impressive, according to Fredriksson. She was simply the best. She left everyone else and when it was asked she was the fastest there too, I would say she was totally complete last year, says the expert. Korsgren also had a strong team behind her with very well waxed skis throughout the season. It was probably as good as it is possible to have a season quite simply. But above all, it feels like she has gained a toughness, a self-confidence and knows how to set up the races. Fredriksson believes that Korsgren has every opportunity to defend the overall victory this season. Despite the challenge from a Norwegian Marte with 42 Olympic and World Cup medals, and a Swedish, Johansson Norgren, with 5 ski classics titles. I think the chances are great, she was so superior last year. But if you look at Bjørgen's return, it will be very exciting. Her career speaks for itself and she raced the Vasaloppet last year surprisingly well and has now got a bleeding tooth. She also seems to be even better prepared for this season so the duel between Bjørgen and Korsgren will be very exciting, says Fredriksson. On the men's side, ski classics has been a one-sided story for a long time. It has been Norway, Norway, and Norway. But last year Emil Persson broke the Norwegian dominance when he won 4 of 8 races and took the title. It means a lot. For us Swedes, it will be fun to watch ski classics again. And if Korsgren was in the habit of slowly exhausting the competitors, Persson usually won in the end. He basically won all the sprint duels. He was extremely fast in the riot and had an ability to position himself correctly. Revenge-hungry Norwegians are thus learning to pave the way for a dramatic season in the long-distance tracks. A season that you will be able to follow on SVT during the winter. The premiere is on December 18 in Orsa. The skiers in 35 different teams compete for 3 million Swedish kronas in prize money. You do not compete for nations, but you compete for teams, and in one team it can be skiers from several different nations. It's pretty much reminiscent of cycling. As in cycling, you have to help teammates who know that they will not win but do everything for a team member to do so. It's a tactical game that is fun to follow. And in the last 5 years, there has been an enormous development in the long-distance sport, and the best skiers are extremely good, says Fredriksson. Now, to wrap up our news for today, let's take a look at what long-distance star Lina Korsgren has told to SVT. Last year, Lina Korsgren dominated in ski classics and took her third victory in the Biathlon. The great success has only come in her 30s, and she now looks back on the years when she tried to succeed in taking a national team place in cross-country skiing. Last season, the long-distance specialist Lina Korsgren was the best so far. "I never saw myself doing this at the age of 33, she says. Korsgren began her career as a traditional skier and dreamed of Olympic and World Cup medals, but never had an established place in the national team. I found this opportunity instead, which suited me much better." Lina Korsgren believes that the fact that in long-distance races you compete in teams, and thus avoid the entire selection process that exists within the national team, has benefited her. Previously, she felt that the pressure became too great. It is an incredibly tough climate to be in, precisely in terms of performance. At the same time, it must be so, too, because it is about elite sports. But I would probably say that I did not relieve the pressure quite a few times. I knew that it mattered so much, that now I have to perform at this Scandinavian Cup to get to the World Cup, then it will be blackout and then you go and get excited. It was hard, sort of. At the same time, I have learned an incredible amount from it. Last season, she won the overall cup in ski classics after winning 6 of the Tour's 8 races. The Vasaloppet is the race that I get absolutely most nervous about. So it's all week, I find myself increasing my heart rate. What is the big goal of the season? To take a 4th Vasaloppet victory, she concluded. And that's all for today, folks. Stay tuned and subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Spotify and Instagram. Just type Nordic Sports News on these platforms and access our content. Thank you so much and see you tomorrow in the next episode. Information credits to VG, NRK, SVT and Nordic Mag.